Hello, my name is Kristin. I'm a registered nutritionist and registered acupuncturist at Glebe Health House. I'm often asked what inspired me to study acupuncture and Chinese medicine because it's not something that most Caucasians grow up and dream about being. Most children don't think, yes, I'm going to be an acupuncturist. While I'm extremely excited about the career I chose, that was not something that was in my thoughts as a young child. People are often surprised to discover that my ambition as of age 3 was actually to become a medical doctor. And while I still have a huge amount of respect for doctors, nurses, pharmacists, they are extremely well-trained medical professionals, I ended up choosing the profession I did because they really helped me when I was experiencing my own health struggles. When I was 14, I took a standard antibiotic, tetracycline, in the event anyone's curious, and it triggered a severe anxiety panic disorder. Apparently, one of the rare side effects of tetracycline is that it can play around with your brain chemical levels. Obviously, I didn't know that at the time, but I was having some very mild acne on my chest, and my vanity didn't like it very much. So I decided to take the tetracycline, figuring, okay, well, it's a standard antibiotic. What harm can it possibly do? I really shouldn't have sent that message out there because boy, did I get a reaction. But I remember being in English class about 24 hours after taking tetracycline, and I started to feel like the floor was rocking, almost like I was on a boat. And I didn't know what to make of the symptoms, so when the bell rang to signal my next class, I went up to math class and just carried on. But probably about halfway through class, I felt so completely out of it. I ended up raising my hand and asking the teacher if I could go home because I didn't know what to make of my symptoms. I didn't feel right. And so thankfully I lived fairly close to my high school, so I was able to make it home within maybe 5 minutes. It was pretty fast. But by the time I got there, between the time I left school and got to my house, I was thinking in mathematical formulas and equations because that was the last thing my brain had really been focused on. I remember thinking that if I wanted to fall asleep, I had to lie on an 86-degree angle, perpendicular to my bedpost. My arms need to form an equilateral triangle and my legs an isosceles. My brain was, I don't even know what to say about the state it was in, but I was borderline delirious. And one thing that's also very telling for me is that I was able to take a nap, which I do not tend to be very good at doing. That is probably the only nap I've managed to take in about 20 years other than when I've had a fever. So that gives us an idea of just how out of it I was feeling. So I stopped taking the tetracycline, which my doctor said was completely fine, but the damage was already done. Within that brief period of time of taking the tetracycline, something had shifted in my brain, and I started to feel really anxious and disoriented, and I felt so afraid to step outside my front door because I didn't trust that I was going to be able to find my way home. It got to a point that I was even afraid to step outside into my backyard because everything felt so scary. I didn't trust that I might not, decide to wander off and I wouldn't be able to find my way home. It was not a good situation. They were very challenging years for me, but I got through them, and it's one of the reasons that I love working with people who struggle with anxiety and other forms of so-called mental illness, because I've experienced them myself. And while I absolutely think people should be mindful of all of the different medical options available to them, whether it's going to see their medical doctor, consulting with a psychiatrist, or bettering their health through something like nutrition, acupuncture, massage, lots of different options out there. But I experienced very profound benefits from a lot of the holistic options. When I went to see my doctor and spoke to him about the symptoms that I was now dealing with, he left me with the impression that there was nothing that the Western medical community could do for me because I was 14 years old, and the medication that he would have given someone with my symptoms would have caused problems with my organ development. So, whether rightly or wrongly, that made me feel like my only option was to pursue the holistic alternatives. So I studied, generally for my own health and wellness, nutrition, acupuncture, homeopathy. I did rolfing. I did all sorts of different things. You name it, I probably tried it. And acupuncture and nutrition just happened to be two of the therapies that had the most profound difference for me in terms of ameliorating my own health and wellness. So I figured that if I could help even a few people deal with the situations that they were experiencing. If they found them even slightly as challenging as what I endured, then I wanted to really repay that karma. I was blessed to come into contact with some amazing practitioners who made me feel safe and motivated, and like there was hope for me, that I wasn't destined to feel sick, and like I would never be a contributing member to society. So I chose, of course, to continue staying in the health field, but my focus shifted a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.